The guy my mom is dating is acting really creepy toward my sister. This has caused my mom to act weirdly jealous toward my sister. What can we do to make my sister feel safer, make him stop creeping on her, and get our mom to stop acting this way? Okay, so this is one big overall issue, but it's actually two different problems that are directly linked. A. This guy is acting really creepy toward my sister. B. My mom is acting jealous toward my sister, I think as a result. A bit of background, my sister was conceived when my parents were still pretty young, 18, and they got married because of it. I used to tease my sister when I was a horrible kid that she was the accident and I was the planned one. After they got married, they had me, their son. Their marriage didn't last, but I genuinely think they came to love each other and care about one another through the shared experience of raising two kids. In the end, they were just very different people who wanted very different things from life. My mom wanted a classic suburban life. My dad was more of an adventurer, traveling, skydiving, and so on. They divorced while we were still young. Although it was hard at first, we never felt unloved. Our dad was always in our lives. He was never neglectful. Even though our mom was our primary custodian, Dad came by often, helped out, and stayed involved. Honestly, even while divorced, they still had a good relationship. Sometimes it almost felt like they were dating again, but in reality they were just too different to stay permanently tied to each other. Anyway, my mom started dating this guy, he's roughly her age. She's known him casually for a while, an acquaintance from work, but they only started dating last year around Christmas. She seemed really infatuated with him from the start. But something was off about him immediately. If you've ever seen the movie American Psycho, that's exactly the vibe my sister and I get from him. Outwardly he's the perfect, polished, successful businessman, charming, polite, almost too charming. As a son, maybe I'm naturally skeptical because he's dating my mom, but he's always given me a serial unaliver vibes. Not saying he is one, but I wouldn't be shocked if I found out he was. Everything about him, his mannerisms, his expressions, his clothes, seems unnatural and calculated. I guess that's how some business types are, but he never struck me as genuine. My mom, meanwhile, was acting really happy and youthful around him because he showed her a lot of affection. I'm sure that made her feel good. Now to the root of the issue, he started doing some seriously creepy things toward my sister. At first we didn't say anything. Only my sister and I noticed. The biggest moment was one morning at breakfast. He was sitting across from me eating cereal, and my sister bent down to pick up something. I clearly saw him stare directly at her butt crack. Then he looked at me, smiled, and nodded his head toward her like, "Eh?" with a creepy grin. I was thinking, what the hell? But I didn't want to make a scene. I told my sister as soon as I could. She said she already felt he was creepy. She told me he often stared at her, especially from behind. She told me several things he'd done that made her uncomfortable. One time she was brushing her hair in the bathroom, and he walked up behind her, put his hands on her shoulders, and started having a long conversation with her, including telling her how nice she smelled. Sometimes, when she was sitting on the couch watching TV, he would sit beside her, edge closer and closer, and put his arm around her. She often caught him sneaking glances at her. I began noticing it too, quick glances at the breakfast table, lingering stares when she walked past, etc. Sometimes when my sister and I were in her bedroom watching something on her laptop, he would come upstairs, say, "Hey kids, what are you up to?" Sit next to her, put his arm around her, and just stay there. Way too close. Not leaving. He acted extra nice to her, way more touchy and attentive than he ever was with me or my mom. We were both extremely uncomfortable. My first suggestion was that we had to tell Mom. My sister refused and said Mom wouldn't understand and would get mad at us. I insisted, and eventually she agreed. We told Mom. She laughed it off, told us we were being paranoid, and ignored it completely. He had her completely under his spell. This is where the second problem began. After we told her, she seemed to become aware of his behavior, but instead of addressing it, she became jealous and possessive. Almost like she was afraid he'd prefer my sister over her. She became overly affectionate with him, kissing him more, hugging him, cuddling him, smiling too much, using more pet names, and trying to mark her territory. It was like watching a teenage girl getting jealous over her boyfriend noticing another girl, except this was our mother and the other girl was her daughter. Then she started policing my sister's clothing, telling her pajamas were too revealing, demanding she start wearing a bra at home, telling her she shouldn't walk around in a towel after a shower, telling her to stand properly or act like a lady when she bent over the couch, repeating the bra comments even when the boyfriend wasn't there. This was especially strange because she had never cared before. My sister felt constantly watched and deeply uncomfortable. She felt unsafe in her own home. We tried talking to Mom again, but she ignored us. My sister suggested we move in with Dad. I told her it wasn't ideal for his lifestyle, but we should at least tell him what was going on. She refused. I told Dad anyway. I had to. He promised not to tell her I told him. He warned me to watch the guy closely and to call him immediately if anything physical happened. My sister wanted us both to move out together, but I didn't really want to move out. She didn't want to leave me behind, but I told her I'd think about it. Final update, it has now been a month since my first post. He's gone. Thank God. But my sister and I still moved out. Everything came to a head a few weeks ago. Mom was out, and her boyfriend was hanging around. I was in my room when I suddenly heard my sister scream from the bathroom. She said he was hitting on her and touching her, or trying to, and wouldn't stop even after she told him to. She screamed for me. He denied everything, saying she was making it up. I told him to leave or I'd call the police. He refused. I physically pushed him out while my sister called our dad. When he heard her on the phone, he finally left, still insisting we were crazy. My dad rushed over, comforted her, and helped calm her down. He called Mom, and we explained everything. We never saw the boyfriend again. He broke up with Mom shortly afterward. I honestly fear he only dated our mom to get close to my sister. My sister was traumatized. Dad slept over for a few nights so she could feel safe. Mom was upset, but we convinced her it was for the best and finally got her to admit he was a creep. Unfortunately, our family issues didn't end there. My sister stayed on edge for a week, irritable, anxious, angry. She said she hated living at home and didn't feel safe there anymore. And then Mom immediately started dating someone new. We barely saw him, but he didn't seem creepy. Still, Mom began acting the same way, policing my sister's clothing, telling her to wear a bra, telling her to cover up even when it was just us three. That was the final straw. We told both parents we would be moving out. We borrowed some money from each, which we planned to pay back. We stayed a few days at Dad's, then moved into our own small place. It's small, but it's ours. Things are going well so far, and we're moving forward.